So if you've seen my last few videos, you know that the AI revolution is here. You know that I believe that at some point, AI will replace all jobs. In order for you to end up on the positive receiving end of the AI revolution and end up winning and future-proofing yourself, you need to go into entrepreneurship. The natural question is, okay, how do I start that? In this video, I'm going to be talking about what you need to do in terms of starting a business in order to survive the AI revolution. This is not going to be your typical business idea video. If you guys have seen my videos, you know that I'm just going to tell you the real. Also, a quick disclaimer, everything I say in this video is just my opinion. Take everything I say with a grain of salt, question everything I say. So the first thing that I've learned in my entrepreneurship journey is mindset is everything. Mindset is probably the most important thing and the biggest barrier, because when we are raised in our society as it is today, that is very corporate and very capitalistic, literally the systems that are raising us, school is raising us to eventually go and work for a rich person and make a rich person richer. Like, I actually saw a podcast and there was a Silicon Valley coach who basically works with entrepreneurs and tech founders on their mindset to get them to be able to start a business. So don't underestimate mindsets. We all grown up to be indoctrinated into being employees. Why? Because we have a system that wants to push money and power to a few people at the top. So we've lost a lot of those skills of how to do business, how to exchange value with each other, and learn how to feed ourselves without needing to be dependent on a company or the government to help us do that. Going to college and learning one skill, getting a degree on one thing. Who decided that that was a good idea? Who decided that it was a good idea for you to not learn how to market, how to communicate with other people, and just learn how to code or just learn one thing? That does not benefit anybody but the person that you're eventually going to sell that skill to. In order to be an entrepreneur, you have to be very multifaceted, which is natural for a lot of people, which is why we feel very boxed in when we're in these jobs that we're in, where we're forced to do one thing. It's not natural for us to work on one thing our whole lives and just sell that one skill to an employer. Get out of this idea that entrepreneurship is not for everybody. Entrepreneurship at its core is knowing how to find a problem, create a solution for it, and ask somebody to give you a value exchange for that solution, whether it's money, whether it's food. That's how societies operated before all these corporations and we structured everything. These companies have dead ass not only infiltrated the way we do schooling, it's literally changed how families are running. Even the whole nuclear family thing, I literally feel like nuclear families were designed, mother, father, child, were designed to support corporations and to make rich people richer, because that's not natural. Natural families are more communal. It's typically more, extended family members. This is how we're supposed to be living. It's not supposed to be mother, father, child, father goes to work. All this rigidity and this structure and this orderliness in these institutions, including family, including schooling, is just, I'm like, this is just corporate infiltrating things to organize things in a way that maximizes profit for the people at the top. Even the way that we portray business owners and we portray entrepreneurs, they're portrayed in a way that makes people feel like it's unattainable. All these ideas of being an entrepreneur is such this big thing and not everybody can do it and you have to have, charm and you have to have influence and don't let anybody convince you that you can't do it. The self-doubt is probably the biggest thing. There was a day when I literally was just crying in my bed because I was I could not stop doubting myself. I just couldn't stop doubting myself. And that is something that a lot of entrepreneurs deal with that they don't tell you, that people don't share, right? You'll deal with a lot of self-doubt. You're going to feel I can't do this. This isn't, but that's because you've been indoctrinated your whole life to believe that you are just supposed to go and work for somebody else and that is all you can do. And that was by design, because if you believe that, then you will voluntarily go and sell your skills to someone else who, by the way, will never pay you what your value is, because then that wouldn't make sense. There's this idea in entrepreneurship called arbitrage. So I'll give you $2 to do something for me that will make me $3, right? I'll give you $2 to give me $3 worth of value. So they will never, if people paid you what you were valued at, it actually wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't create this wealth inequality that we see between businesses and employees. They have to underpay you. They have to exploit your labor. They have to pay you less than your worth in order for them to make a profit. So that whole thing of oh, I am getting paid what I'm worth. No, you're not. You're getting paid the market rate, which is typically set by the business owners anyway. and it's set to be very low. Okay. I literally don't even want to think about the amount of money that the code that I've written and have written will continue to make for these companies. Like the software that we build literally continues to make money for these companies for like 30, 40, 50, 100 years. I guarantee you, whatever paycheck you got was pennies compared to the value that you delivered, especially when it comes to software. It's just sickening to think about. It's the biggest scam, but I digress. So question everything, undo your mindset, and learn a lot of the things that you've learned. The other thing that is really important is you need to ignore everyone. Unfortunately, most people around you are going to be in an employee mindset. So they're not going to understand what you're trying to do. Try to get yourself into communities with other entrepreneurs. Try to get yourself into community with people who are doing what you're doing, who have unlearned this employee mindset. Because if you surround yourself with people who have this employee mindset, whether it's your parents, whether it's your family, it doesn't even matter. They're going to hold you back. The reality is it's not that they're not trying to be supportive, it's that they don't know, because we're all raised in this system that tells us we can't be business owners. We're all raised in this system that tells us you shouldn't try. There are people who actually argue that it's selfish to start a business because they're like, oh, well, your family has to support you. Almost every founder story that I listen to, they talk about how they had to move into their mom's basement. They started their tech company out of their mom's garage. Like, support is required. And I understand that not every family is supportive. So you're going to have to find those support systems where you can. But don't listen to this idea that like, oh, well, you just need to go and work for somebody because you're being selfish by trying to be an employee. No, you are doing the right thing by trying to be a business owner. That's the right thing. That is the natural path. So go towards that. That God did not put you on this planet to sell your value for cheap. I think employment should be a tool, and people need to be very clear about how much value they're really giving when they decide to work for other people, and also the risks that come with putting yourself in a situation where you are dependent on someone else for you to be able to feed yourself and your family. That is very, very concerning, especially in a country where, or in a system where we don't have social safety nets should that relationship or that situation go left. Right? Should you lose your job, we don't have Medicare for all. We don't have the safety nets for that. So it's actually the moral, ethical, right thing to do in this type of situation to be self-sustaining. So if you want to start a business, you need to learn how to do market research. The best way to do market research that will get you the biggest bang for your buck is to talk to people. Pay attention to the things that your friends and family and your people that you meet in the world are struggling with right now. That's how you realize that, like, oh, these are the problems in the world. These are the things that people talk to the people in your community and figure out, like, what are their issues? What are their pain points? What are the things that are keeping them up at night? Okay, that's how you find a problem to solve and build a business around it. Talk to people on social media, talk to people on LinkedIn, slide in people's DMs, just start conversations. If you have like somewhat of an idea of what you want to do, figure out where those people hang out and get into those conversations so you can see where the problems are. Go to Reddit, read Reddit comments, get into community with the people that you're interested in serving. That is how successful business people do market research. Or they have platforms where they can take all your data and be able to spy on you that way to understand what the problems are. That is the other way that companies do it. But basically, you need data. And the best way to do that, in my opinion, to find a good business idea is to talk to people. So the next thing you need to do, like I said earlier, is you really need to figure out your purpose and lean into your strengths, right? A lot of people try to copy someone else's business idea. In order for you to be able to sustain a business, it needs to be enjoyable to you. It needs to not drain your energy. So you need to find something that's really aligned with your strengths and aligned with your purpose, which is why I said this video was going to be different, because I'm not going to give you prescriptions of like, this is the business that you should start. This is that. No, I'm going to show you how to arrive at that, because even if I were to give you a problem to solve and a solution, it's like, it might not be well aligned with your strengths. It might not be well aligned with how you should approach it. Somebody could give you a business idea, tell you exactly how to execute it, and it will make you money. But like, you're going to be miserable doing it. People don't even understand how many business people, how many entrepreneurs are literally miserable doing what they're doing. And that's because they didn't start from a place of leaning into their strengths, leaning in with their purpose. And a lot of the times it's, what that is. You know what that is deep down. Like, I know that my strength is breaking down concept. I like to give people unsolicited advice, and I'm like, you know what, YouTube is a perfect medium for that, because if you don't like my advice, you can just click off. If you're like, hey, what resonates with me is really working with kids, or like working with building technology, like figure out what your strengths are that are just easy. It just comes naturally. But I really need you to do some like self introspecting and learning yourself to figure out what those things are, because sometimes we can be confused and think that our strengths are what we trained ourselves to learn for employment. So that thing that like some people have even found to be kind of annoying about you, that like it just comes so naturally for you, that's what you need to lean into. And you know what that is. Like, I can't tell you what that is for you. You know what it is. Just pay attention to it and learn to accept yourself. I had to learn to accept myself. Accept yourself. Pay attention to yourself, pay attention to what's resonating as you think through different business ideas and as you try out and experiment different business ideas. I would say, and this is going to sound crazy, but I don't think that you should worry too much about monetization at the beginning or how you're going to make money on your business. I think that at the beginning, focus on how can I communicate the value proposition and how can I get started on solving this problem for people. If you're comfortable getting on the internet, get on the internet, talk your shit, talk about the problem, talk about the solution. And soon enough, you will notice that an audience will start to build around you. And then you'll start to form a community. And once you form a community, then you're going to start to get more data and insights on what your community is dealing with. And then out of those problems, you'll be able to create more solutions. And when you do that, when you start delivering value to people and you start creating solutions for people, then you can figure out, okay, what are my options and how I monetize this? I started creating content on LinkedIn for like literally, I think it was like 2 weeks. And I started getting companies asking me to come and do speaking events. And I was just talking about leadership because I was like frustrated with leadership in corporate. And they were like, hey, we're actually trying to like raise a generation of leaders. Do you think you can do a talk? Do you think you can come and like mentor and do this? And, you know, so like the opportunities will come without you even realizing. If you go and watch my old YouTube videos, I was doing hair videos just as a hobby. Like I was just like, this is a problem that I want to solve. This is a problem that I'm dealing with. I just got on the internet, put myself out there, started talking my shit, giving my opinion, sharing my journey, documenting, you know, learning in public. And then companies started reaching out to me. They're like, hey, we want you to be the face of our product. We want you to, you know, and at that time, I was not thinking about it in terms of business. I was just doing what resonated at the time and doing it out in public and offering a solution for people. And then the money will literally find you. Like the money will literally flow. One mistake that we make is like, we try to figure out what will make money and then let me do that. No, figure out what aligns with you. Figure out what problems you're good at solving, where your strengths lie, what can you solve effectively, what do you feel comfortable working on consistently for a long period of time, what can you keep showing up with, right? And then lean into that. How can I better communicate this? What tools can I use to get my solution out to the public? So learning digital literacy. I'll make different videos on this stuff. Learning how to create content that actually lands. Learning how to leverage AI. Learning how to leverage all these tools and technologies to help you be more effective in getting your solution out there. Once you learn how to do that, the opportunities will flow. Okay? The money will come in. So I would focus more on that, and then you'll have many different ways to monetize. I have a lot of tips and stories on this whole entrepreneurship thing. I will continue to make videos. If you haven't seen my last video about AI replacing jobs and what we need to do about it, what the problem is and what the solutions are for that, make sure you check out that video.